Hey guys, it's Matt from Amateur Filmy, so welcome to a brand new video. We'll be going over the things that Sarah and I picked up during the recent Vinegar Syndrome sale. Just a couple of quick things before we start. So first off, we are running a 1,000 subscriber giveaway contest. If you're interested in entering that, I'll link the video down below with the details of what you have to do. We've got some cool movies up for grabs, so definitely check that out. And also, we've got some new lighting equipment going. This won't be the same backdrop in our future videos, but we're testing out some new lighting equipment, so give us some feedback on how the picture quality looks. Hopefully we get it right. We're still trying to figure it all out, so let us know. So as for the Vinegar Syndrome titles, they have only just arrived here in Australia, so we haven't had the chance to check them out, so this is going to be more of like an unboxing and talking about what movies I decided to pick up kind of video. But this first film actually came separately. I think it was due to like a stock issue or something like that, but they sent this one on its own, so I was able to watch this one. This one here is Demon Wind. Demon Wind always was one of those movies where I would add it to the cart during previous Vinegar Syndrome sales, but when I had to sort of clear out a few items, this one never really made the cut. But I finally was able to grab it during this sale, and I wish I had gotten it sooner because I actually really enjoyed watching this movie. Our main character, Corey, visits an old family farm that was owned by his grandparents, and he goes there to try and figure out what happened to them because they died in a really bizarre way. And on this journey, he brings along all of his friends, and it's not long before they realize that there are some demonic forces at play. I think the thing that I love most about Demon Wind is that when you're watching it, you'll see there's like a good balance between things that are laughably bad and things that are legitimately creepy. Like some of the character interactions and plot developments in this film are just so hilarious and bizarre to watch. Like in particular, some characters will die and then the people around them just won't react in the way that you would expect. And it's just so strange to see. But at the same time, a lot of the effects in this movie I thought were done really, really well, especially obviously the demon effects, really, really creepy practical makeup, which I thought was excellent. And it reminded me a lot of Spookies, which I actually think would probably be a good double bill with this movie because, there's not as much emphasis placed on the plot, but a lot of emphasis placed on the horrific special effects and stuff like that, which I think this does well. This definitely does have more of a coherent plot than Spookies, but honestly, it's not really saying much when you think about it. So I definitely highly recommend this if you're into special effects in particular in horror films. I think there's some great stuff here. And also, it's a great one to watch with friends as well, as I say a lot of the time for other Vinegar Syndrome titles, because you will laugh a lot in this movie at particular moments. So really glad that I picked this up, and I do recommend that you check it out. So as I mentioned before, Demon Wind's the only film out of this sale haul that I've watched, just because it came independently of all the others, which only came today. But these next two films are The Human Tornado and Petey Wheat Straw. So if I'm not mistaken, I think we actually showed Dolomite in our last Vinegar Syndrome haul, and I really, really enjoyed that movie. I thought it was hilarious and had great, memorable dialogue. And obviously I was wanting to learn more about Rudy Ray Moore as an actor and a comedian. And so I decided to pick these two films up. There is Disco Godfather, which is another title that Vinegar Syndrome has released, but decided to go with these two initially. I'm not sure which of these two is supposed to be the more well-received or, more liked, but, obviously I'm going to watch both of them, and I'm sure they'll be hilarious as well. So looking forward to it. Next up, we have the film The Children, which is a movie that Sarah insisted that we get during the sale because obviously she loves her zombie movies. This one came out in 1980, and if I'm not mistaken, it's basically about a busload of children who are going on like an excursion or something like that, and there's like a nuclear power plant leak, and they end up becoming infected and become atomic zombies, I think they're called, which sounds really cool. And interesting, I'm just noting on the back, actually, this was shot back-to-back with Friday the 13th, so actually shared some of the same crew, which I thought was interesting. And this release actually does have a whole lot of special features, which I'm excited to dig into. So looking forward to this one. I've heard pretty good things about it. And last of the standard editions, we have The Corruption of Chris Miller. And I first learnt about this, as I do with a lot of other films, from listening to the Arrow Video podcast. I think this was one of their recommendations in a specific episode, and so I looked into it, and it does sound like one I'm going to enjoy. In particular, it's actually a Spanish-produced giallo film, which I've obviously ranted on and on about how much I love giallo films, so that was reason enough to pick it up. But it's had pretty good reception based on the things that I've read, and yeah, it just seems like one that I would enjoy, so really keen. So we're moving into the limited editions now. I think we have about 7 to show, so we got pretty lucky in this sale haul. The first one here is Rest in Pieces, and I absolutely adore this artwork. I think it looks fantastic. So this one was directed by Jose Larraz, and Sarah and I actually own a lot of the films that he's done. Most recently, we watched Edge of the Axe, which we found to be a really enjoyable slasher film. Obviously, it had its flaws, but on the whole, I thought it was really fun. And so we were excited to check out Rest in Pieces. I mean, the name of this movie alone is enough to sell me on a Rest in Pieces. I think that's a fantastic name for a horror film. I haven't heard the best reception for this movie, but I'm sure I'm going to like it in some capacity. So really glad to have this edition in the collection. And here we have the film Decoder. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this one's actually out of print now as far as, getting it with the slipcover. So I think we got pretty lucky with this one. This is a movie that I decided to buy because the plot itself sounded just really intriguing. I'll quickly read off the description of IMDb to give you an idea of what this movie's about. A burger shop employee discovers that by changing the background music from pleasantly calming to industrial noise music, he can incite riots and a revolution against the looming power of the government. So this is a German film, and I've heard that it has cyberpunk elements in it, which I find to be really cool because, like, I don't know, like the idea of a German cyberpunk film is like really fascinating to me. And it's apparently also loosely based on the writings of William S. Burroughs, who's an author that I've been wanting to learn a little bit more about because he's supposed to have had a really interesting life, but I've really liked the other film adaptations of his work, such as David Cronenberg's Naked Lunch. So I'll be interested to see whether or not I really like this movie. And I will say as well, I do recall watching the trailer quite a while ago prior to purchasing this, and it does seem like it's more of an experimental movie. So I'm sure we're going to be in for like a strange ride with this one. But if you've seen this one, let me know what you think. The next film we have here is Paddyhurst, which is another great looking slipcover, and if I hold it up just right, I can make her head replace my head in this video. So this film is based on a real person called Paddyhurst, who in 1974 was kidnapped by the Symbionese Liberation Army. And basically the whole movie is about her evolution from being a victim to an actual accomplice in their crimes. So I thought that aspect was really cool, but also this film was directed by Paul Schrader. And I mostly know Paul Schrader, as I'm sure a lot of you guys know, for a lot of his writing credits like Taxi Driver and, you know, a whole bunch of others. But I don't know him as much for his directing credits. I've watched Blue Collar, which I talked about recently in our Indicator video, and I really love that film. And he also did the film Hardcore with George C. Scott, which I thought was fantastic as well. So this is another film that he's directed, so hopefully I like it. I'm sure it'll be really good. So I'm going to show these next two films together because they obviously pair very well. Here we have Grave Robbers, and we have Cemetery of Terror. Now, it goes without saying, I always compliment Vinegar Syndrome on their slipcovers, but seriously, these just look amazing. So these were both directed by Ruben Galindo Jr., and he's actually a Mexican filmmaker, which is part of the reason I wanted to check these out because, you know, off the top of my head, I don't think I've seen that many Mexican horror films. And, you know, having more, you know, international horror films, you know, from different countries is always a great thing for us, you know, Sarah and I, because we like, you know, broadening our horizons and seeing what other countries have to offer in the horror department. And the other thing as well is I've seen so many collectors talk about these films and have nothing but positive things to say about them. They're supposed to be really, really entertaining slasher films, and just reading the plots of them, they sound like they're going to be a fun ride anyway. Like, I think both of them are about reanimating old corpses and then those corpses go on like a killing spree. I don't know. It sounds like really wacky, so I'm really keen to check these out in particular. I mean, obviously I'm keen to check out all of these, but these are supposed to be great. So the second last film we have to show is Blood Games, which we were really lucky to get because I believe it is now out of print. Now, admittedly, this is more of a blind buy than some of the other ones that we've shown today, just because Sarah and I didn't really read too much into this film. We just sort of took a chance on it. But, you know, it's supposed to be an exploitation film from, I think, 1990, which is interesting. And I've heard it be compared to films like I Spit on Your Grave and other revenge thrillers like that film. So I've also heard a couple of collectors like Aaron Pinn give this film praise. So very interested to see how it goes. If you've seen it, let me know what you think. So the last film of the haul is Fade to Black. And when you got the second slipcover variant, I think it looks fantastic. This is one that I'm really interested in because I'd heard so many people get excited for this when it got announced. I had never heard of this movie until Vinegar Syndrome announced it as one of their releases, and you know, I was reading about it on Reddit and other YouTube videos. This is apparently a really popular 80s slasher film that I had just never heard of. And the plot of it sounds so cool. Basically, if I'm remembering correctly, it's about a guy who works in a theater and he ends up like getting obsessed with like a lot of the characters that he sees on screen. And he ends up dressing up as them and then killing people. Like, for example, I read that he dresses up as like Count Dracula or the Mummy. And then he just sort of goes out and kills people. So really cool premise for a slasher film, especially, you know, one from the 80s. Heard a lot of positive things about this one as far as the mood and the atmosphere go, the actual directing style, a whole bunch of positive elements. So this is hopefully going to be one that we watch very soon, isn't it, Sarah?
Yes, definitely.
So that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you very much as always for watching. I do apologize for not having more substantial things to say about each of the films. As I said at the start, this is more like an unboxing haul, so obviously I haven't had the opportunity to watch them yet, but hopefully I will soon. Let us know what you think of the movies that we decided to pick up during this sale, and if you have any recommendations for other Vinegar Syndrome titles that we should pick up in the future. And again, just a quick reminder about our 1,000 subscriber giveaway contest. If you're interested, definitely consider entering because we'd love to see your video responses. And if you wouldn't mind as well, we'd appreciate some feedback on the new lighting setup so we know if we're doing the right thing. Cheers for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.